Good morning. This is Holly with Holly's Joys, and I was doing my study this morning and I came across something about dominion again. And it's just so amazing to me. This idea of dominion is just threaded through the entire Bible, where God is letting you know through parables, through highlights of people's lives that they're talking about, just and just outright saying it, that God has put you here as his representative on earth. That is your dominion. So I've been doing kind of it's a deep dive, but in a different way, like an opening myself to understanding what it is, just trying to remain sensitive to the leading of the Lord and being like, listen, I don't really understand dominion. I know it's authority, but what does that, I mean, I need soup to nuts, like logistically. Number one, what do I do? That's just how I'm kind of hardwired. I think most of us are. Like, give me a list. One, two, three. This is what I do. But it really isn't like that. And that's what he's saying. It isn't like that. So he's given these stories to show you what it is like. So let me real quick tell you the story that I was looking at today. And I'm getting ready to do like a service, a Sunday service live. And so I've been kind of revamping like my understanding of different Bible stories. And so I've been kind of thinking it through. And I went on a 2 hour trip, 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. And so I was kind of using that time to really think through this particular story. And it's the story of Joseph. And I'm sure you've heard of Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. So, real quick, just a brief thing, and then we'll get to where the dominion is pointed out. I mean, it's dominion the whole time, but it's really like the period, the accentuation point is put like this is dominion. Look, it's dominion. So, Joseph was number 11 of 12 brothers. At the time of the story, there were only 11. And there were sisters too, but they aren't really involved in this story. The brothers were, he was the youngest of the 11, and he was his dad's favorite because his dad, and it's a long, drawn out story, he had two wives, and if you want to look into it, his name was Isaiah and his Isaac, sorry. And his uncle Laban, he was marrying his daughter and he got tricked. And so he ended up marrying two of his daughters, which are his cousins, but they did that sort of thing back then. Anyway, the second daughter was the one he really wanted to be with, and he loved her very, very deeply. But the oldest daughter, the one that he got married to first, was Leah, and she had 10 of the sons. And finally, her sister, Rachel, had a son. And so the dad was overjoyed. She was overjoyed. Finally, a child after all this time. And he became the favorite, as you can imagine. And so the basic story is Joseph 17, and he's kind of a tattletale. He's out in the taking care of the sheep with all the brothers, and apparently they were doing something he didn't care for, so he went and told dad, and that's when he gets his fancy coat. So he gets his nice coat and he goes back, and long story, the brothers are just kind of over it, I mean, Joseph's telling on him he's the favorite, come on. So they're out and they're in Dothan, and they are like taking care of the sheep. They're moving them around, and I mean, they're walking everywhere. It's desert land, so I mean, it's hot. And so Joseph is sent by his dad out to check on them. Go tell me, like a recon mission. So he's got the coat that's many colors and it's very fancy, and they can see him coming from a ways off. That happens a lot in the Bible too. Like, we see you coming. This stuff doesn't happen on us by accident and unawares, right? We can see it coming. He's coming. Then the brothers start to talk amongst themselves how, it's annoying. And I mean, it makes sense that it would be, right? Unfortunately, I think I can relate to these brothers more than I'd like to admit. But anyway, they're going, hey, let's just kill this kid and be done with that. We're done. We're over it. And the one brother, the oldest one, Reuben's like, no, you can't. Don't do that. There's the pit over there. We'll just throw him in the pit. We'll take his coat and we'll just tell dad that he got killed by an animal. And they're like, okay, cool. So Reuben's off. I don't know if he's feeding the sheep or he's off. He's away from the other brothers, and they see a caravan of traders off in the distance. They're like, okay. And by now they've got Joseph in the pit, right? They've taken his coat, they've slaughtered a sheep, and they've put blood all over it. They got their story straight. And they tell each other, they're like, listen, instead of killing him, we can make some money. We'll sell him to these people who are going to Egypt to trade. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. So they do it. He's gone. And then when Reuben comes back, he's like, where's Joseph? And they're like, we sold him. It's cool. Years and years go by and things are happening in Egypt. I mean, all kinds of wild, crazy stuff happens in Egypt with Joseph. And everywhere he goes, he's just blessed of God. Like, he's in this house of Potiphar, who is some kind of like general, or he's a higher up in the Egyptian communities, right? And so he's a slave in this household. And the guy is like, everything that I give for Joseph to do goes really, really well. And I'm like blessed. So I'm going to give him more. So he makes him second in command. This is dominion, by the way, people. Second in command over his whole house. The only thing he cannot have is the wife. The wife wants him. So, because he's cute, he's probably like 24 by now, right? So he's, young, he's fit, he's good looking, he's a foreigner. It's all good. So she's trying to get him to mess around with her, and he won't. So that's your dominion. He's taken dominion over his body. Like, no, I don't want to. That will not be good for me. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. Certainly not good for the guy who put me in charge. I'm not going to do it. So she ends up grabbing him by this coat, and it's a different coat, but grabbing him by his coat, and it comes off and he takes off outside, and she screams rape, right? So when the master comes home, she tells him this story, and Joseph's tossed into prison. And that also goes well. I mean, for being in prison. Everything he does well. He does it with integrity. He does it with honor. He does it with his full blessing of God. He keeps his dominion. He keeps his attitude in check. I mean, how mad would you be at this point? I would be I shudder to think what would be going through my mind. So we have to remember that when things we think are negative are happening to us, they are not necessarily so. Just be patient and trust and keep your integrity and keep your dominion intact. Keep yourself doing well for yourself intact. So here's Joseph. He's in prison, and pretty soon 2 guys are tossed into prison by Pharaoh. One's a cupbearer and the other one is a baker. Long story short, the baker gets beheaded, the cupbearer gets released on Joseph. Joseph's having dreams. That's a whole nother thing, right? And we don't really have time in this video to get into all of it. It's a lot that's going on with Joseph. So he interprets dreams for the cupbearer and tells him he's going to get released and restored to his position with Pharaoh. So he does, and he says, and when you do, can you please remember me? Like, put in a good word. I'd like to get out of here. So it's several years more, I think 2 years beyond that. And then the Pharaoh starts having dreams that no one is able to tell him what they mean. And the cupbearer is then like, oh, that's right. I had dreams and there was a guy in prison. Oh, and I told him I would remember him when I got out. So he tells Pharaoh about this guy. He finally gives him a puts in a good word, and Joseph is brought to Pharaoh, and then he ends up telling him the story, right? Or the interpretation of this dream. And it's about a famine that's happening like worldwide. That's in 7 years, this is a predicted dream that there's going to be a famine in 7 years. So, but before that, there's going to be loads of prosperity. And Joseph gives advice to him on how he should handle that. And so Pharaoh says, okay, now here's where the dominion comes in. It says, then Pharaoh said, inasmuch God has shown you all this, there is no one discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh says to Joseph, see, I have set you over the land of Egypt. And then Pharaoh takes off his signet ring and puts it on Joseph's hand, and clothes him in fine linen, and puts a gold chain on his neck, and gives him the second in command chariot. So there it is. And we've talked about that before. The signet ring is the identification as you walk in my authority. You walk in the authority of God. In this case, Joseph was walking with the authority of Pharaoh. He was literally only second to Pharaoh. And that is what God is telling you today. You are literally only second to him. Now, I'm not just saying like you personally, like just me. No, each one of us are in charge of our own little world, right? Our thought life. It is so important that you take dominion over your thought life, over your heart, how you feel about things. And yes, I understand feelings come upon you and you can't really always stop that. Feel them. Absolutely. And don't be mean to yourself about it. Have a negative. I mean, if my brothers were doing that to me, I would not be thrilled by it. I'm sure he had moments. But then you come back, and you come back quickly as possible. So you have a bad feeling or a bad thought about somebody, you go, okay, but wait a minute. God made them too. God loves them too. I am to love them too. I love them too. I am love. I am in authority and control over my mind. The Lord did not give me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And I wonder just how often Joseph had to remind himself. I mean, these are pretty severe conditions of which he survived through. And the story goes on for a lot more chapters. There's a lot that happens to this poor guy. Anyway, he is able to keep his dominion over his thought life and to exercise love and compassion and understanding. So when he does get reunited several chapters later with the brothers, he says, don't be angry with yourself. Don't be upset with yourself. God put me here for such a time as this. So let's quicken our trust in the Lord and remind ourselves we have dominion over how we feel about things. And I think if you can keep your dominion, your thought life happening, then you can stay in that, on that golden thread that God has woven through this tapestry of living, where you can be right where you're supposed to be able to, I don't know, just be in the right place at the right time kind of thing. And I don't know what your purpose is. You might not know what it is. But I think that our real purpose is this dominion, just to be in charge of our dominion and just go with what God gives you. And has God given me some challenging things? Girl, very. And I'm not always on top of my dominion. Sometimes I leave the doors wide open for the thief to come in and wreak havoc. But I've gotten better about getting that door shut pretty quickly. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Just think about this. And if you've never read the full story of Joseph, you should. It's quite enlightening, and he's quite a character. So anyway, go in your laboratory of life and experiment on thinking about yourself wearing this ring of dominion that God has given you. Just, I don't know, it's just pretty amazing, really. And choose to be happy. Tell yourself that you got this, girl. Go get it. So we'll see you next time. Oh, and all that was in Genesis chapter 41, and it started like verse 39. So if you really want to look up exactly what I was just reading, that's the scripture verse. And we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Bye. Oh, go to my channel and subscribe. Also, thumbs me up. It makes a big difference. We'll see you next time. Bye.